Hey kids, welcome back to another edition of Waterstone Kids Online. I, of course, am Mr. Josh, and I am so happy to be with you guys. I feel like it's been this might be the first time in 2024. I feel like I took a year off, so glad to be back. Have a great story for you guys. But before we get into that, let's kind of recap what we've been talking about. So Jesus, we've seen him, and we've seen his life. We've now seen his death, and we've seen his resurrection. And now we're going to find out what happens afterward. What happened after Jesus was resurrected? Did he just kind of go get a job, or did he, just go home? No, we're gonna find out today, and we're gonna find out some big stuff. In this story, you're not gonna believe this. It's one of my favorites, and I feel like I say that every time, but it's probably true because they're all kind of my favorites. But this one, it's gonna show my age a little bit. So the character we're gonna be talking about is Thomas. And now back when Mr. Josh was growing up, we would have a saying to people who didn't believe things. We'd call him a doubting Thomas. That was my wife always tells me that it makes me sound old when I tell old sayings like that, but that's what we used to say about people. Oh, he's just being a doubting Thomas. Well, now we're gonna learn what that means and why it came to be, why that saying is, because believe it or not, it's kind of biblical. It's kind of cool. So growing up, I did not realize that until I learned about Thomas and his doubts. So today we're going to, as always, I'm going to read the story. I've got some notes afterward, and we'll see where the story takes us. And this one, short and sweet. I got to say, there's not a lot of meat to the story, but we're going to have some meat to chew on afterward. All right, so we'll get right into it. As always, if you want to later on read about this story for yourself in the Bible, you can look in John chapter 20, and you'll learn all about this story. So this one is called Jesus Appeared to Thomas. So when Jesus appeared to his disciples in the house of Jerusalem, one of Jesus' disciples, Thomas, was not there. And let's keep in mind that this was after Jesus was resurrected too. So this is his first appearance after he rose from the grave. So Thomas, although he wasn't there, he heard the news. "We've seen the Lord," his friend said. But Thomas did not believe that Jesus was alive. Thomas said, "I want to see and touch the holes in his hands and in his side, or I will never believe." That's a strong statement. So 1 week later, Thomas was inside with the disciples when Jesus appeared again. "Peace be with you," he said. Then Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out and touch my side. Don't be an unbeliever, believe." So Thomas did believe, and he said, "My Lord, my God." Jesus said, "You believed because you have seen me. Those who believe in me without seeing me are blessed." So you see, Jesus is still alive today. We know that, right? We know that in our heart of hearts, that he's alive, he's in heaven waiting for us. And we have not seen Jesus, but we believe in him. And if we do believe in him because of that, we will be blessed, just like he said. So Jesus actually sends believers like us out into the world to tell others about him, and he fills us with the Holy Spirit to help us accomplish that. So wow, like I said, short and sweet story. But now you kind of understand where the description of doubting Thomas came from, why that saying became a thing. Because Thomas doubted. So what happens? Let's recap real quick. So Jesus comes to the disciples, but Thomas isn't there. And when Thomas hears about it, he doesn't believe it. And let's be honest, if I was in Thomas's shoes, I might be with him, because Thomas saw Jesus on the cross. Thomas saw Jesus die. Thomas saw Jesus get put in a tomb. And that's the last time Thomas saw Jesus. So if I was in Thomas's shoes, I'd probably wait. You're telling me he's alive all of a sudden now? I saw him die. No, I need to see it to believe it. I think most of us would have been like that, if not all of us. But then what happened? Jesus came back. Jesus came back and proved to Thomas. He said, "Touch my hands." And he was able to see the holes in his hands. He said, "Touch my side." He was able to see the wound in his side. And he said, I'm here. I'm alive. And after that, Jesus, what did he tell Thomas to do? He said, "Believe." And Thomas did. See, Jesus was very patient and kind with Thomas. He could have gotten angry. He could have been like, "You've been with me how long and you still don't believe in me?" But he didn't, because he understood Thomas's doubt. He understood where Thomas was coming from. But at the same time, he wanted to make sure that Thomas believed. And Thomas did after that believe. Now with us as Christians, there's not a person alive today that was there when Jesus was alive and walked the earth. as in his human form, there's not a person there when he died on the cross, when he was resurrected, and when he went back to heaven. So all Christians now, we believe based on faith. We believe based on the fact that we feel God inside us, that we've heard Jesus talk to us, that we've had God guide us in our life. So with Jesus, and I'm glad this is kind of behind me there. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but it says God, first thing, step number 2 is relationship. And that's really important. So when we have a relationship with God, when we read his word, when we hear about the story of Jesus and we really start to dig in, that opens up our brain and our heart to God and in turn to Jesus. And they can enter and fill us, and we can feel that Jesus is real. We can feel that Jesus is alive. He's in heaven. He's watching over us. He wants the best for us. And that's how we develop a relationship with him. And through that relationship, we come to believe that he was the Son of God. He walked the earth. And of course, we have the Bible to guide us through this whole thing. Because, I mean, I can't imagine doing this thing with Jesus without the Bible, because it would be so confusing. It'd be like, I feel this presence, I feel this voice, I feel this, but I don't know what any of it means. But God knew that was going to be our issue, so he gave us the Bible to guide us through all these feelings, not only through our relationship with him, but just how to do life. That's what the Bible's great for. It's a guide to life. So through all this, Thomas doubted, but Jesus doesn't want us to doubt. And he gave us so many ways, and he still gives us so many ways to believe in him without having to come down out of heaven and say, hey guys, it's Jesus, I'm alive. No, I personally have felt him in my life numerous times, more than I can count. I've seen the things he's done in my life through other people's lives, and being filled with the Holy Spirit now, I can really see it. And now I'm able to explain it to people who don't believe, who have never seen Jesus, so they don't believe in him. But I can explain how I see Jesus, because I don't see him physically, but I see him here. And I see him here. I see him all over the place. I see him in the things he does. I see him in the trees outside and the birds in the sky. I see him in a nice quiet day, which I've got 3 kids. I don't get a lot of those anymore, but that nice quiet day where you can just hear the wind and you can almost hear his voice on the wind. It's a glorious feeling. It's an awesome feeling. And it's also a great feeling knowing that when I leave this earth, I'm going to be able to live with him forever. So if you're doubting Thomas, don't lose heart, because guess what? Jesus still is going to be patient and kind with you as well until you're ready to accept him. And once you do accept him, you will be filled with something that you've never been filled with before. So thanks for hanging out with me. As always, I love it. Hopefully it won't be 2025 before we meet again, but I don't think it will be. But until next time, guys,